My name is Carrie Bobo, and I'm delighted to be here today at IAC to present the work of a research consortium, Commercial Conversions, where we are investigating the viability of converting large floor plate office buildings into equitably mixed housing. This is research done through the Hillier College of Architecture and Design at New Jersey Institute of Technology and funded by the Profeta Real Estate Technology Design and Innovation Center. When we think of resilient cities, we think of cities that can adapt to our changing needs. We know that the pandemic emptied many office buildings, but we don't often talk about the early 1980s U.S. tax code revisions that resulted in the overproduction of commercial real estate. This overproduction is set against a dramatic underproduction of housing, causing a housing shortage of nearly 4 million units, making housing unaffordable and acutely impacting communities of color and low and middle income households. These same households are those most affected by climate change. With only 7 years left to avoid disaster, we must focus on limiting upfront carbon. The easiest way to avoid carbon is to not build. Adapting our existing buildings rather than demolishing them makes sense. So how do we legislate for adaptive reuse? First, we rezone to build more equitable cities, including targets for affordable and supportive housing integration. We'll come back to this idea a bit later on. Second, we incentivize. New York City's previous tax abatement program, known as 421G, incentivized conversions, financially benefiting the city in less than 15 years. The buildings converted during 421G, much like the one shown on the screen here, relied on daylighting, natural ventilation, and were fairly straightforward in their adaptation. The post-war period led to larger and larger floor plates for commercial buildings. No longer relying on daylight and focused on the idea that personal interactions increase success, businesses wanted large spaces on single floors that could facilitate connections between employees. Because the New York City Building Code requires living spaces to be within 30 feet, roughly 10 meters, of windows, these large floor plates present new challenges. Now, as we consider this transitioning of office space to living spaces, to make these deep floor plate conversions easier, there's a push to relax building code requirements. As a team, we agree that current housing protections are valuable and should not be eroded. We know that access to daylight in homes positively impacts people's sleep and mental health, and we believe that people's right to a humane living environment is worth protecting. We know that the kind of complex problems that generate more questions require truly cross-disciplinary consortiums to develop innovative responses, but we rarely have the opportunity to establish these types of teams. This project harnesses the creative capital of 14 upper-level architecture students working together with developers, architects, and cost estimators. Empowering these students to address equity in urban development positions them to understand the social impacts of business decision-making, supplementing the students' technical education with practical, complex problem-solving skills. We started this project focused on experimentation, creating glycerin models of formal interventions, and then we continued, breaking into 3 research teams: income integration, building form adjustments, and the history of apartment floor plans. Each team diagrammed and cataloged their work, creating a taxonomy of responses: equitable, formal, and spatial. We affectionately called this work the equity mix. This is the piece about building equitable cities through rezoning we promised to return to earlier. Here, we looked at how to integrate affordable, supportive, and market-rate housing. Supportive housing provides on-site social services for those in need, often those transitioning from homelessness or out of the foster care system, and enhanced supportive housing allows for daily care associated with higher needs, such as mental illness or aging. While many of the iterations shown here were not practical, they served as background for discourse and led to a solution: a randomized integration of affordable and dispersed supportive housing on a base of 5% enhanced supportive. An initial test fit clearly demonstrates the ill-suitability of very deep floor plates for traditional apartments. You can see this floor plan illustrated here in the top right-hand corner. In order to address this mismatch, the project explored formal adaptations to allow for more access to daylight. The third and final in the series of tabulations studies individual apartment plans to understand allowances for better quality housing. A 1972 large floor plate office building, we used 1166 6th Avenue as our prototype. Building on the knowledge developed during the taxonomic studies, 42 conceptual prototypes were proposed, workshopped, and categorized into 4 themes. Vertical channeling of the existing building to articulate the floor plate allows for daylit apartments along double-loaded corridors. This strategy references the pre-war building forms of 421G. Inset apartments allows a deeper utilization of the floor plate, providing balconies for most apartments. Current trends in New York City real estate make balcony area desirable and therefore saleable. Remaining interior building space is utilized to create spaces that engender community, a desirable amenity post-COVID. Hollow Core provides a plan that refers to the historic traditions of classic New York City apartment buildings like the Dakota and the Apthorpe. Because a courtyard form is only effective to a maximum height while allowing daylit apartments, this proposal suggests maintaining a commercial base. Elongated apartments enlarged amenities deepens the traditional apartment plan by adding a mechanically ventilated interior home office, extending the usability of the floor plate toward the core. Additionally, large organically formed amenity spaces connect the floors, allowing for more inter-building connectivity while providing social congregation spaces. Design is inquiry. Through design, knowledge is produced. Therefore, design is research. When we offer students with diverse backgrounds the opportunity to affect change, to connect with real industry professionals, answer advisory, LOA development, Riceboro Community Partnership, we can prove concept and offer architectural solutions to the real-world problems of the housing shortage, housing unaffordability, and the climate crisis. This group established that in New York City, where each square foot is precious, having the burden of extra area, even if removed from daylight, offers opportunities to shape both new forms of apartments and new forms of buildings, with spaces focused on outdoor living and counteracting post-COVID isolation by generating connections. The project's affordable and supportive housing developer Riceboro's vision for urban futures expresses beautifully what we strive for: to build a city where your zip code does not determine your health outcomes, housing stability, or economic power. The future resilient city needs a holistic approach taking into account social, economic, and environmental sustainability. To build this future city, we should rezone to allow for adaptive reuse, and we should incentivize. It's essential that along with rezoning, we legislate for positive change, mandating mixed-income integration and daylighting requirements for new construction, ensuring future buildings can be responsive to the city's evolving needs.